Hello, Periscopers. How are you doing? This is Monica A. Coleman, and I am the author of the forthcoming book, Bipolar Faith. Hi, Willie Leon. Thank you for joining us. And I'm talking for just a few minutes every day, every weekday. Hi, Maya Mitch London. Thank you for coming back. About the question I get asked the most, which are, what are my spiritual practices? What are the things that I do to manage and live with a depressive condition? Hi, Candace Laughinghouse. How are you doing? So again, this is Monica A. Coleman. I'm based in Los Angeles. I am a professor of theology. Oh, thank you for the hearts. I love hearts. And I'm a person who lives with a depressive condition. I live with bipolar 2, and I write about it and I talk about it. And so I am sharing just a little bit each day about just whatever's on my mind in terms of how do I actually pull this off. And some days I don't pull it off that well, and I'll talk a little bit about, well, it didn't go so well today. But today was pretty good. I got up this morning, worked out. That helped a lot. Hi, I am Kid Breezy. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Stack707. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Tiago. I'll say Tiago. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Please feel free to swipe and invite others to follow us while you're at it if you'd like to. Oh, thank you. Hi. Hello. Thank you, Candace. And hi, Bruce, I think. Thank you for joining us. Today I wanted to talk a little bit. I put a topic called Tell Someone. Hi, Gary188. Thank you for joining us. And my day's been pretty good. It's a little chilly for LA, but still very sunny. Hi, G-Rock. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Gary188. You're in Philly. Thank you for letting me know that. I really appreciate it. I'm in LA, so it's a little later there. Thank you. Oh, I love the hearts. Thank you all for hearts. Again, today is near the end of the month. Thank you, Young Handsome, for joining us. I saw someone else join us real fast. And as many of you know, April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and I am a survivor of sexual violence, and I've written a book about that called The Dina Project. It looks like Dinah, pronounced Dina, D-I-N-A-H. And I've been speaking about this for almost 20 years, I think, at this point, 15, 20 years. And it's really been heavy on my mind, and it has actually a lot to do with living with a mental health challenge as well. And one of the things that happens as someone who speaks out against sexual violence is people tell me their stories. And I've become the bearer in many ways of stories. And it's such an honor and such a privilege to be able to witness someone else's vulnerability and sharing, and to hold that as sacred. And it reminded me today of how important it is to tell someone. I was recently interviewed for something, and they asked, what do you suggest somebody do if they feel depressed, if they feel like they're not feeling well and they're anxious or stressed out? What do you suggest somebody do? And the first thing I thought to say was, tell someone. You know, whether you're a survivor of sexual violence, whether you live a mental health challenge, the hardest part is feeling like you're all alone, feeling like no one else understands you, no one else knows what you're going through. And that's part of it, and it's just alienating, and it makes it scarier than it has to be. And so I would say tell someone. Tell someone until they believe you. Thank you for joining us, Wizard Ruiz. Tell someone until they understand. And I get that that's hard. It sounds so much easier than it is. Oh, just tell your friend. And there are people I've shared my experiences with, and they're dismissive. Or they try to be encouraging, and you just walk away feeling worse. Or they ask you questions, and next thing you know, you're blaming yourself for not being braver or stronger or more courageous or more something that you just weren't. And then you're like, oh, I feel worse, and you cry some more. So when I say tell someone, I really mean it. Thank you for joining us, SL3. I mean, talk to someone and keep talking until you find that person, which means you may have to tell more than one person. Thank you for joining us, Anointed Muse and D1. It means you may have to tell your pastor or another minister or another religious leader, if you choose to tell a religious leader. Tell one friend, tell another friend. Tell one therapist, it doesn't go well, tell another. And so this is the hard part. When I went on a search for a good therapist or a good psychiatrist, it was exhausting to keep going to different people and retelling my story until I could find someone that I thought really heard me and listened to me and treated me like a human being who had a bad experience, or a human being who was sick, not just this person you could boss around or ignore or dismiss. It's hard. I know that it is. But I think that's really one of the most important things you can do, is to not stay in a situation that feels difficult and desperate by yourself, which is why we always use terms like speaking out, like telling your story. That one of the most powerful things you can do, one of the most courageous acts of self-care, one of the biggest acts of love, I think, is to tell someone. And so for me, sometimes it looks like me texting a friend and saying, oh, this is not a great day. Or I'm getting my ass kicked today, or it's just getting handed to me today, or man, I just can't, I'm not sure how to make this better. And sometimes we brainstorm together, and sometimes there's nothing they could say, but just knowing that they hear me makes a big difference. Sometimes it means telling someone, finding someone and finding new someones over and over again. And that's difficult, but that's really a really, really big part, I think, of what it means to care about your own health, your own wellness, to take care of yourself. And it really is an act of courage to tell someone your truth, and to keep telling it until that truth is heard and accepted, and believed and addressed. So that's what I wanted to share today. And this is kind of a concluding Periscope for Sexual Assault Awareness Month, which is April in the U.S., and that is such an important concept, and such an important month to talk about, a time for us to honor those who are speaking out, to honor survivors, and to talk about sexual violence and rape and sexual assault and incest. But it's also, I think, an important part of what it means to live with a depressive condition is that you have to tell someone. You can't stay where you are by yourself. It's like the worst thing you can do. And to try to find it within yourself to keep telling someone how you're doing. Is that, one of the things my therapist will say to me, do you have at least one or two people who know every day how you're doing? And I do. And so maybe that's a good action step, to kind of review your life and say, do I have one or two people in my life who knows how I'm doing today? Thank you. I see Candace Laughinghouse saying, sometimes we do have those days, and it makes a big difference to have people who hear you. And maybe you're that person for someone else too, where you're the person who hears or checks in like, hey, how you doing today? And sometimes it's like, okay, fine, great day. But just that you're checking in with someone too. And that's a kind of part of it all, right? To have friends and to be a friend. And sometimes it's just that simple that, hey, I know how this person is doing on a daily basis, and this person knows how I'm doing. And if I don't hear from you by 9 p.m., I'm going to light up your phone and text you and make sure you're all right. Those are the kind of people I have, and it makes such a huge difference in my own spirit, in my own life. And it becomes a discipline, and it becomes a spiritual practice, because caring for others, loving others, is a way we express our spirituality. So I thank you all so much for joining. If you came a little late, you can catch the replay. I'm also posting this on YouTube on my channel there. If you're enjoying it, feel free to pre-order the book on Amazon, or just follow me on Periscope at RevMonica, or just use the hashtag Bipolar Faith, and continue to keep on keeping on in your own spiritual practices and your own wellness and self-care. You all have a blessed time, a blessed day. Thank you so much again. Thank you all for joining us, especially my sister from London and from the UK, a couple from the UK. Thank you so much for joining. And I'll be back Monday, and I might throw a couple Periscopes in this weekend if I get a chance to. Many blessings.